Good morning or good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Mention these famed jewels to anyone in our industry, and they immediately think Ceylon sapphire, arguably the finest found in the world today. Show them some exquisite sapphire or moonstone set jewelry and tell them it's made in Sri Lanka, and they are suddenly confused or even disbelieving. Who buys high-end jewelry from Sri Lanka, right? Of course, there is an unsurprising reason for that reaction. While gem exports from Sri Lanka has been growing strongly over the past 5 years, jewelry exports have remained mostly flat. Therein lies the catch-22. Today, I will touch on some industry-defining factors ranging from creativity, innovation, technology and production capacity, manpower and raw material availabilities, regulatory environment, and about market and market access, and the manifestation of these critical factors in the jewelry industry in Sri Lanka. And through that process, persuade you to see jewelry manufactured in Sri Lanka with new eyes. Everyone in this room, and you heard Jack say before, gemstones from Sri Lanka boasts a recorded history of more than 2,500 years. But how many of you have heard that Sri Lanka also has a rich history and tradition of jewelry and jewelry making? These jewels going back to the reign of King Kashyapa in the 5th century is just one example of that. But my presentation today is not about the history of jewelry. It's about the continuity of that rich tradition. Let me begin by putting the gem and jewelry industry in the context of our national exports. Gems and jewelry is the 4th largest export product from Sri Lanka, accounting for about $400 million US or 4% of export revenues in 2014. As you can imagine, this is an important industry for our export economy. In broad terms, the jewelry industry caters to 3 market segments, these being the export, domestic, and tourist markets. According to the National Gem and Jewelry Authority, the export value of jewelry in 2014 was approximately $20.6 million. The estimated annual value of the jewelry industry as a whole is at least 10 times greater than that. The value of jewelry sales to foreign tourists was estimated to be around $72.6 million in 2013, according to the Sri Lanka Tourism Development Authority. By extrapolating some data in a 2012 survey by the Department of Census and Statistics, the domestic jewelry market is estimated to be just over $100 million. The jewelry industry also has another important dimension in Sri Lanka. 22-carat gold jewelry is purchased not only as a status symbol by Sri Lankans, it is also used as an investment and a mortgageable asset to raise cash in emergency or hard times. The pawning business in Sri Lanka is an important component of our domestic economy, and most commercial banks issue loans based on jewelry as collateral. Advances against pawn jewelry accounted for nearly 15% of all retail lending by major banks. I have adapted Michael Porter's value chain concept to explain the value chain in our jewelry industry. A few large manufacturers are fully integrated operations spanning the entire value chain from either import, lapidary, or diamond cutting to manufacture to either retail or export. But a significant portion of the production is by artisan craftsmen and small workshops at cottage industry level. However, there is a growing number of standalone larger production units or jewelry factories. Jewelry and findings imports have grown by an impressive 200+% during the past 3 years, signaling that the jewelry industry is both opening up and expanding rapidly. Potentially, the gem cutting and diamond cutting industry is a supply conduit for the jewelry manufacturing industry. Though this is currently valid for only a few fully integrated jewelry manufacturers, there is much scope for linkages between lapidaries and jewelry manufacturers in the future. Quick look at some of the industry sector statistics. Again, the survey of industries in 2012 revealed that there were 27 production units with over 100 employees. 30% of these were female workers. Increased female participation in this male-dominated industry is another indication of the ongoing transformation of the jewelry manufacturing sector. The Export Development Board reported that over 600 families are engaged in jewelry manufacture in 8 craft villages, mostly in the southern province. Some of these are producing silver jewelry, which is another indication of a modern trend. According to the Gem and Jewelry Authority, 345 firms exported jewelry from Sri Lanka last year, and 1,480 businesses were registered with them. Within modern state-of-the-art factories, progressive Sri Lankan manufacturers are adopting cutting-edge technologies. Technologies such as microstone setting, casting diamonds in place, laser welding, engraving, stamping or die striking, machining, and CAD/CAM have all been adopted by several larger jewelry manufacturers, putting them on par with their competition, either in Italy or Germany, China or India. By utilizing local raw materials ranging from amethysts and moonstones to our famed natural sapphires, designed and produced using both traditional and modern techniques, these jewelry products manufactured in Sri Lanka tells the story of an emerging modern jewelry industry. Since 2011, Sri Lanka has held observer status at the Vienna Convention. Having fulfilled the necessary membership requirements, Sri Lanka is due to receive full membership next year. It is noteworthy that Sri Lanka is the only Asian nation associated with this convention. It has 19 members and 5 observer members, almost all of them European states. The membership not only speaks about fair trade policies and consumer protection, but each contracting state also allows goods marked by this common control mark to be imported without further testing or marking. This is a huge opportunity for jewelry manufactured in Sri Lanka. Blue Diamonds Jewelry Worldwide have used modern technology to create clear Parveset diamond jewelry. They spent many years in research and development to create this technique. The diamonds are set in a high carbon compound containing about 60% pure carbon. This high carbon compound is hard, transparent, and wear resistant. Professional jewelry designers from Sri Lanka are spreading their wings and gaining recognition at international design competitions, demonstrating both their technical skill and creative ability. 2 of our designers were recognized recently at the Dubai International Design Competition and at Basel World. To further encourage and develop our design talent, the Sri Lanka Jewelry Design Awards was launched in 2010. This jewelry design competition conducted by the Sri Lanka Gem and Jewelry Association is growing in popularity. This year's edition will also feature a category open to international designers for the first time. Both professional and amateur designers participate in this competition from around the country. Much like Hatton Garden is to London, C Street is synonymous with the jewelry market in Colombo. It is home to over 500 jewelry businesses. Many retailers throughout the country still source raw materials, finished products, and manufacturing services from suppliers based in C Street. On the other hand, cottage industry jewelry manufacturers throughout Sri Lanka supply jewelry to C Street jewelers and wholesalers. Not only consumers around Colombo, but also from all over the world, all over Sri Lanka, still travel to C Street to buy jewelry. All this makes C Street a major jewelry industry hub in the country. The newly opened Colombo Gold Center is in close proximity to C Street, with over 50 jewelry shops, has modernized the infrastructure of this important hub. Meanwhile, upmarket jewelry stores catering to both tourists and affluent locals have been developing along a 3-kilometer stretch on Gaul Road and R.A. Dimel Mawatha between Colombo 3 and 6. This is the beginning of a high-end shopping area, I would say. Is this our own Bond Street that's developing in Colombo? With 37 shops, The Gem and Jewelry Exchange at the World Trade Center in Colombo 1 is another important location catering mainly to the tourist market segment. The most significant jewelry hotspot for the tourist market is along the Peradeniya Road in Kandy, with several well-established jewelers catering to the bustling tourist industry there. Looking at the top 10 export destinations for jewelry manufactured in Sri Lanka, we can count some of the most discerning consumer markets among them. That is an indication and testimony to the standard of jewelry being manufactured in Sri Lanka. Export markets such as Switzerland, Germany, and Japan in particular endorse this view. From gourmet tea to designer label apparels to boutique hotels, Sri Lanka is earning a reputation for luxury. Adding to this offering, jewelry made in Sri Lanka is poised to make a statement with several local brands already boasting international presence across megacities. Sri Lanka's jewelry manufacturing capability has not gone unnoticed either. Through the years, a number of leading brands from around the globe have had their production linkages with the industry here. This is again testimony to the capacity of the industry to compete and deliver at the highest level. In the past, several factors spanning from the regulatory environment to the business climate held our industry back from reaching its full potential. But those roadblocks are receding. From new intellectual property protection laws to attractive tax breaks in Sri Lanka, combined with duty-free access to many important markets due to privileges under the GSP system or through the bilateral free trade agreements, particularly the one with India and soon another one with China, Sri Lanka is creating a platform to launch our jewelry industry from. During the past 3 years, per capita GDP has grown at 7.5%, while tourist arrivals is growing at 24%. Gem and jewelry exports is growing at 22%. These three important indicators signals the outlook for each of the three segments that I spoke about, the three market segments that I spoke about earlier. All the indicators are pointing strongly towards growth in the next few years. So the next major milestone for the gem and jewelry exports is $1 billion US. To reach this level, value-added jewelry manufacture from Sri Lanka must grow exponentially. I have shown you that all the critical ingredients to build a successful industry exists in Sri Lanka. Today, nearly every Ceylon sapphire traded anywhere in the world has been cut in Sri Lanka. We know it wasn't always so. Our ambition is to see that nearly every piece of jewelry featuring a Ceylon sapphire sold across the globe is manufactured in Sri Lanka too. Indeed, our industry is small at present, but remember, a mighty oak tree was once a tiny seed. So let me close with this final statement. Jewelry made in Sri Lanka is taking a claim to be ranked among the best in the world. Thank you.